From the Standing Stone Farm Studio right outside downtown Nashville, it's time for the most ridiculous sports podcast in the world. So sit back, relax, and listen as Bobby Butler and Brandon Bond crack open a cold one and talk all things hockey, pop culture, and complain about everyday situations. It's the Pucks Out Podcast.
Welcome into the most ridiculous podcast in sports and pop culture. I'm Bobby. He's Brandon.
Hey-o.
You can find us on the three majors of social media at Pucks Out Pod. Now let's crack open this cold Mayday beer and let's get after it. As always, Pucks Out is powered by Mayday Brewery, the official beer of Pucks Out Podcast. Stay up to date on our social media stations to figure out when we're going to be hosting the next bingo. Our social media stations, our social media channels, I don't know.
Yeah, listen up here. We're going to have breaking news announcements, see? Extra. Look for our newsboys out on the street corner. You know, extra bingo coming soon. You get down near you.
Hey, don't tell me, dude. We'll get newsboys and then put them in Nashville, slinging our fucking podcast like WMD.
Hey, we won't even need to find. Look. See, some people have to do market research. Where are we going to be able to reach the most people with our newsboys? Right, Bob? Not us. We're just going to send that mofo to every daddy's dog vendor and street food vendor in the city. That's where our people will be, you know?
Yeah. You know what we need to do is we need to burn CDs of our podcast and start giving it out in places like New Orleans.
We're rappers? Like we're rappers? Like check us out on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Normally we promote like other things, but like when we're out on the street with burned CDs, it's SoundCloud is what we want to rep. You know, that's where we want to try to bring in our listeners.
It's like, but you gave me a CD. Why should I check out your SoundCloud? Well, I mean, actually, you put the CD in, and it links. It takes you to SoundCloud. That's actually all that's on there is a link.
That's actually only episode 137, and after you get 137 in you, you're not going to have had too much. You're going to need more. Okay, so SoundCloud, and then other things, you know, but SoundCloud mostly.
But yeah, don't forget to check us out on Twitch, where you can see us playing a bunch of games. We're really doing a bunch of stuff here coming soon. We hit our community reward for our camping movie watch along, so we'll be scheduling that.
Do we have a movie?
But how are you this week, bud?
I'm doing good. Man.
I think I think for the movie, there are two options that I kind of looked at. There's Tammy and the T-Rex, which is a old Paul Walker movie where he turns into a T-Rex, I think, or his brain gets put into a T-Rex. Don't know how much racing of cars there is. Probably a little bit.
Not much change for Paul Walker.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if maybe the T-Rex is played by Vin Diesel. Who knows? The man can do anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, what is the other? What's the other option? That's strong right out of the gate. So
I think it's Attack of the Killer Donuts or something like that. I haven't read it, but apparently it's got a decent enough rating to be bad, but also probably have a cult following. So it's not like a 1 out of 5, but it's like that good 2.5 out of 5, where it's like, okay, this has a following, but it's bad enough where it becomes good again.
Yeah, honestly, you know, our first thought process, it was like, oh, let's go with the one that sounds obviously way dope, you know. And then my second thought was, no, go with the one that is less dope, and you'll be less interested in watching. So it's up.
Yeah,
we'll have to make it.
My original thing was Attack of the Killer Donuts, but then once I saw Tammy and the T-Rex, I'm like, oh, this is going to be
like a maybe. It was like, oh, we're gonna have to put this on a shelf. But man, I've been doing pretty good. Just watched football this weekend. Not much, man. I kind of just really hung out. Been getting a lot of stuff done around the house, so that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but college football national championship, we'll talk a little bit about it. Yeah, man, not a whole lot going on in my world. What about you, brother?
Oh man, same shit, different day. Just living the life. Watching some football, watching some hockey, drinking some beer, playing some video games. I'm showing my wife tonight for the first time the Kevin Costner Robin Hood Prince of Thieves movie. Probably the best Robin Hood movie there is. So I'm excited to show her that.
Well,
I loved it. And today she misunderstood what I was saying. So she was like, were you saying the Sean Connery Peter Pan movie? I was like,
you should have said
no,
yes.
but Sean Connery's technically in it. he does have a cameo, so you're not far off base.
I'm partial to the animated, the animals one.
Okay.
Where he's like the fox.
That's a decent
like
one.
The bear. That's solid. That one's solid to me. So I'm with you. Cool.
But fit check.
Oh, sorry. I was just about to say I'm almost through my horror. We have 2 episodes left until I've allowed Stephanie to finish Game of Thrones. As you can remember, the last 6 are, some people liked them, but if you're a lore fan, they were tough to get through. And so we got through, seasons 1 through 4, 5 pretty quick. 6 a little slower, 7 even slower still, and then 8's been happening for a little bit. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Fit check.
Oh yeah, fit check. Nothing special here. I did find this dope ass this Patriots hat, the same one you have, but I found it under my bed while I was cleaning it. It kind of fell by the wayside. I don't know how long.
Familiar. I guess I brought it back to light. It wanted to get out into the world again. There's so many hats that I have like that I'm like, dude, where have you been? Hey, let's get you back in the game. And when you find them, it's like you got to immediately abandon whatever other hat you had to get this guy back in the game. Like, look, brother, I might be. I didn't mean to leave you behind. But I got I went with, because of the shirt, I went with the Black Bulls hat here,
Nice, yeah.
Got that all that jersey, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
That went straight 90s. Even, hey, look, I even went, and I unintentionally, super 90s Baltimore. There's more than murder here, except for not in the 90s though. I think it was pretty much just murder in the 90s.
Murder and crab cakes. That's what Baltimore does.
Well, but usually the 2 factions don't usually cross. There's not a lot of crab cakes to be had when you're murdering. So,
but all right, let's jump into the news.
Everything you need to know about what's happening on the ice. It's time for news from inside the boards.
Looking here, hometown Preds, the UC Sauce obliterates the Predator single game save record with 64. The previous record is 54 from Dan Ellis. And saves in a period of 28. He is one of 5 goalies in the league that has had more than 62 saves in a game. And then the very next game, posted a shutout. I believe that between those 2 games, he ranks, I think they said, like 3rd or 4th all time in saves between 2 games or something like that now.
It was ridiculous, dude. I mean,
talk about going in with momentum against Ottawa.
And going in with momentum, and then just really this team, the trade, hey, who we're going to trade, getting ready for the All-Star break, and then they go on a little streak and kind of put us right back in, the problems that we've had the past few, problems that we've had the past few years. And when you were reading that, I was like, man, what a good word that he used there, obliterates. And I forgot that I wrote it. I was like, hell yeah, good job, Bob. But yeah, man, I mean, 64 saves in a game is ridiculous. I mean, yeah, that's ridiculous. But yeah, Preds are streaking right now, man. I think they are right outside of the wild card hunt. Yeah, that's awesome for them. I guess it's, kind of depends. We've kind of talked about this weird floating midsection that we've kind of got stuck in. We got good enough players to not be bad, but not great enough players to be great. So let's hope we can, make a little something out of this run, or give it up altogether and just be bad.
Yeah,
so we can be bad so we can get good again.
Yeah. The NHL All-Stars have been picked. There are some new people on the list. We'll go through. I'll do the Metro and Central, and Don, if you want to do the Atlantic and the Pacific. Okay. Metro, we've got Sidney Crosby. Shocker. He is not a first time. This is his 5th. We got Johnny Gaudreau, 7th. Did not see Johnny Gaudreau having more appearances than Sidney Crosby, which is, I guess, maybe because Sidney Crosby's injuries, I would assume.
Yeah, he probably bows out a lot, I would guess.
Yeah. Kevin Hayes from Philadelphia is first time. Jack Hughes, 2nd time from New Jersey. Brock Nelson, first time from the Islanders. Ovechkin is 8th time from Washington. Andrei Svechnikov, first time from Carolina, and Igor Shesterkin, first time from the Rangers.
Awesome. I'm got the Atlantic here. I don't have I don't know what link you have, so I don't have the amount of times, but I don't think folks really care that much. But if you see somebody of note, let me know. Linus Ullmark will be playing goalie from the Bruins. Tage Thompson
His first time.
from the Sabres.
Also first timer.
Dylan Larkin from the Red Wings. Matthew Tkachuk from the Panthers. Nick Suzuki from the Canadiens. Brady Tkachuk from the Senators. I do know it's their first time getting to play together on the same team.
That's dope. That's cool.
Nikita Kucherov from the Lightning and Mitch Marner from the Leafs. And you said Pacific as well.
Yeah, and I put the link on the thing. But for the Central, Kirill Kaprizov, his second time. Clayton Keller, his third. Jason Robertson, his first from Dallas. Vladimir Tarasenko, fourth time from St. Louis. Seth Jones, fourth time from Chicago. Cale McCarr, shooting 2 for 2, I think now. Yeah, this is he got it his rookie year too, right?
Don't remember.
No?
I don't remember.
Is he in his second or third year right now? I can't remember.
I want to say his third.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, this
know
is his second
that's-
time.
I think. Did he start at the beginning of his first year? Maybe that's what
I'm
it is.
not
He didn't have a
sure.
full
Yeah.
season.
Yeah. Josh Morrissey, first time from Winnipeg, and UC Sorrow, second year in a row. Nashville, the goalie sitting there.
All right. From the Pacific, we have Matty Beniers, the first appearance. Kevin Fiala with his first appearance. Nazem Kadri with his second appearance. Connor McDavid with his sixth. Elias Pettersson with his third. Troy Terry with his second. Eric Carlson with his seventh. And Logan Thompson with his first. A nice crew. Obviously, each division also has 3 members up for fan vote. So you can get 10 votes a day. Bob, I don't know if you have. I did one day. I went in and voted for a few different people. But 2 skaters and a goalie are who you're voting on for each of these positions.
Nice.
So there will be 3 additional players from there. But with the format, as you could tell, they pick 1 player from each team. So everybody is represented for those jersey sales, right? You got to make sure you sell the jerseys.
I 100% didn't see that until right now. But yeah,
Yep.
Okay, makes sense. I don't really like that I don't like that All-Star games have those. I think it should be either all
Me
fan
either.
voting or just, let there be a couple guys on the same team.
Right. I think it should be the best players, honestly.
Now, usually they do it where the hosting team gets an extra player or something like that. I thought it was always that there used to be the hosting team gets an extra player.
I don't know, but we are not. I do want to say we're not restricted to these players for the skills events too, right? They can go outside.
Oh, I think that is a new thing. Yeah, that's a new thing. I think they
Are
might have
they
instituted it last
restricted?
year.
They're restricted to just these
no.
players.
Well, no. What I'm saying is it's a new thing over the past 2 years. I think where the skills events are open to invite from anyone.
That's more
else.
important to me than anything else is getting the best players in those skill spots. So
yeah, 100%. But all right, yeah. So that's a good group of guys. 11 first timers. I love seeing. Honestly, I think seeing new young guys in the All Star break. That's what the All Star event should be.
you love looking
maybe
at
see
young
a couple,
guys, dude.
couple veterans. Yeah,
You love looking at young
let's-
guys. Everybody knows it.
100%. Let's move on into outside the boards.
Now that you know what's happening inside the boards, time for the rest of the headlines with news from outside the boards.
The national championship is settled. Georgia is back-to-back champions after coasting to a win. You're going to talk about it a little bit more later on, but it was ugly. It got ugly real fast. We were texting and I made a joke like, "Oh, you didn't have the plus 70."
Yeah.
And there was a minute or two there where even plus 70 might
was
not have
real.
covered that game.
That's what I made that, and I followed it up with the joke to you.
Yeah.
said, bold of you to assume that plus 70 isn't going to hit with there's 6 minutes left in the game. You know what I mean? There was a point, and this was not early in the game, like, oh, they got an early touchdown, but a point where Georgia had 45 points and they had more points than they had plays at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, it was just, they were talking, somebody made a joke because, I watched the whole game. I didn't pay attention to the whole game. I mean, who really had to pay attention to the whole game? But somebody commented.
I switched tabs and tabbed in every once in a while.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I was watching it on the TV and I was playing on my phone. Somebody said, I mean, the national championship's boring when the announcers are talking about the 2023 Colorado-Arizona State matchup being an exciting
I did see that
game. Yeah. It wasn't good. So, I mean, that's really game. We could have sat here and made it our main topic, right? We could have talked about it.
Yeah.
And I think we probably have on those good
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone can agree that the real national championship, and I think that there should be an asterisk, was Ohio State versus Georgia. Yeah. That was the best. That was the best game. That was, and it happened. That, I don't let this be a deterrent to the playoff situation. Sometimes you're going to get where the semifinals are better than the finals. That's how playoffs work sometimes when you have seeding. So I think that this was, it sucks that we didn't get a great finals, but we got a hell of a semifinal matchup. Yeah. TCU and Michigan was a great game as well. I mean, just seeing those two games were worth it to me.
Bobby, this doesn't turn me off to playoff matchups. This revs it up even more. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is, and I'll get to a little bit of that. That's a really good point that we got two good games of football for sure. Hopefully we get about 8 or 9 good games of football, next time where everything is a nail biter and it doesn't really matter at the end of this. But I don't think that you're going to get that many I don't think that there's going to be as many options for such a lopsided matchup, because you have to imagine that a team like Alabama or, a healthy team, a healthy Tennessee, when they were hitting their stride, there's lots of teams that can play better in this playoff format. They lose one game and then they're out of a SEC championship contention or a Big 12 championship contention. I'm interested to see what this does for it. So,
100%. The Bears get the top pick with the Texans beating the Colts. You have to imagine that. What were the Texans doing? They had all they had to do was lose, and they just couldn't even lose right.
Well, I mean, it's a difference of a mindset, right? I mean, those players are not the number one pick. Why do they
that
care?
Or Lovie Smith is just such a bad coach that he couldn't even coach him to a loss.
Yeah, I mean, or it's hard to lose that spirit though, brother. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Especially since it was against the Colts.
I hear everything you're saying. Yeah. Oh, lose. And bro, these are you imagine yourself just lose, bro. Just go out there and embarrass yourself in front of, hundreds of people, much less millions of people. And maybe somebody got paid for a performance bonus, and maybe somebody. I'm not talking per the players. The players are always there to win. But if you're Lovie Smith, I mean, I guess Lovie Smith is figuring he's getting fired. He knows he's getting fired either way. Colts have not been a good football. I don't think Lovie will get fired.
He's already been fired.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, he was fired the next day.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Maybe I missed it. I thought. Let me see. I thought that I know a couple of folks got fired. I mean, I believe you. I'm not calling you a liar.
1 day ago, and this is he was fired. I think Monday morning.
Yeah, I guess I just missed it. Yeah, that was so dumb. That's so dumb. I mean, I don't understand.
I don't like the firing of that.
Coach is supposed to win football. He's been there for one season. It's just such a joke. It's such a joke league.
And honestly, I think it's a really bad look. I don't want to, get too much into the politics of the NFL, but the beginning of the season, Houston came out and said, we are going to hire they made a point that they were hiring a black football coach. They made it a big deal in the news cycle that, hey, we're hiring a black coach. It's like, okay, cool. More black representation in the league is awesome. But then you bring them in, and you know this roster that the Texans have. This ownership group knew what this team was. They didn't. There was no, illusion that this was going to be a great football team this year. And to use him for a dump season and then fire him after one season? To me, that's bullshit. You don't do this whole performative song and dance about how you're hiring Lovie Smith and he is.
Let's not pretend like the Texans organization has been this stalwart,
sure,
example of what an organization should do. I mean, you're talking about not even football stuff. Let's just talk about what they've done football wise, for goodness sake. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. That's why I just couldn't believe what you were saying. I mean, I could believe it, but like, what? Like, why would they fire the guy? Interesting. Yeah. But the Bears are not going to draft a quarterback, right? They're going to use that to move back, you have to imagine?
I don't know. I mean,
get the best edge rusher? I mean, that's what... I mean, it doesn't hurt that much if they get the second pick,
Yeah, my question for you, though, is do the Bears replace Justin Fields with a quarterback?
No, I don't think so.
Correct. I saw that a lot on the morning talk shows. Everyone was talking about whether or not they replace Justin Fields. I don't like Justin Fields. I don't think he's,
I
like him fantasy-wise.
I mean, yeah, he's great fantasy-wise, but I think he's one of those that, look, in 2 or 3 years, there's going to be game tape on the guy, and he's going to be a much more manageable player. Just like Lamar Jackson has become a much more manageable quarterback, not
RG3
always.
was, yeah.
And like RG3 was and Michael Vick was. I mean, those guys are always going to have talent, and they're always going to shine through. And which ones are going to continue to shine through, I don't know. So, But I don't think that with that crew of wide receivers that you could even say you gave the guy a fair shake. I mean, you're not getting that talent immediately in my mind from CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong on that too, but I think that you use that and you move back to number 6 or whoever wants to jump up and get Bryce Young or jump up and get their guy, get CJ Stroud.
If I'm the Bears, I think it's very important when you have a franchise quarterback. There is nothing worse than teams using a lot of draft capital to get a franchise quarterback and then not using future draft capital to protect said quarterback. That is what Washington did with RG3. And Baltimore has now done it with Lamar Jackson. You get this franchise. That is every team's most important asset on the field is the quarterback. You should have. There is a reason Tom Brady won so many Super Bowls. It's because he was protected. How many times have we seen video of Tom Brady wherever he is have somewhere around 8 or 9 seconds to get the ball
out?
You
tried to show me that video, and I told you I wasn't going to watch it. Okay. No, you're right though. I mean, hey, you get the best tackle in the draft, or you move down a couple spots and you get the best tackle in the draft. Or I'm not looking at a chart here or anything, but get what you need. In my mind, you don't need a quarterback. You hit an opportunity with Justin Fields. I think that you got to stick with it. I don't. He can break the game for sure. He's a great quarterback with some refinement and some potential receivers. Maybe my thought process is different on it, right? So but I'm with you. I mean, no, you don't draft a quarterback. I mean, me, I'm that guy that wants people to Aaron Rodgers all their quarterbacks and he's sat for 3 years now and now he's ready to get a couple of plays on the field, but not start, and I know that's to the extreme, but I feel like as many Trevor Lawrences or, let's see who else, Joe Burrows that we get, we get just as many, we get just as many Ryan Leafs and, Jake Lockers and, I can't even think of recent examples because they're garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would say Baker Mayfield's in that discussion.
Baker Mayfield or Johnny Manziel or, Josh Rosen. You're setting up a lot of guys that are not NFL caliber ready, that are not Trevor Lawrence, that are not Peyton Manning, that are not ready to walk in and be the face of a franchise. Sure,
that's a wild sentence, putting Trevor Lawrence and Peyton Manning in the same sentence.
I'm just saying, just from the stature.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, they're 6'6" quarterbacks who know the league. Is Trevor Lawrence ever going to be Peyton Manning? Yeah, I don't think so. But has he immediately shown within his first 2 years of play that he has the toolbox that he could be at one point? Yeah. You know what I'm saying.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback. I think I said when he came in the league, I think he'll be an all-time
He's got
great.
beautiful, and I mean, let's be real. He's got such beautiful hair. I mean,
yeah,
it's such flow. If we cut that thing, you want to stop him from being a great quarterback? Chop those bad boys off. That's it right there. You chop off the locks.
Before we move on to the next section, which is the NFL playoffs, I do want to, as I crack this beer, say an official and very happy goodbye to Dan Snyder. This past weekend was the last game that will ever be played by the Washington football team or the Commanders, whatever you want to call them, under the dystopian head of the Snyder family. And it was a win against the Cowboys at home. Not just a win. They slaughtered the Cowboys with their starters, which is absolutely amazing. And the Washington had a third string quarterback. It was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
That is awesome.
I thought at any time Dallas was going to pull their starters, and they didn't. They never pulled their starters. They kept Dak. They kept Zeke in there,
baby.
And Sam Howell's first career throw was a touchdown.
Yeah, I saw that. That was such a great game. You're flying on such a high before we go into the NFL playoffs. So I'm just going to bring you down a little bit. Something I saw pointed out after our mascot discussion. It's Major Hog. Is that correct? Is that what the name is?
That, yeah.
Something like that. Well, somebody was like, dude, these people know no bounds. They're unhinged. How is the Commanders football team in DC's mascot going to literally be a war pig? I was like, oh, that's hot. That's hot. That's hot right there. I
like that, but its roots. It's spicy. Its roots are different. It's because it's from the Hogettes.
Is it though?
I mean, that's what they're telling. That's the faces. That's what they're saying. Okay.
So wait, what you're telling me is I'm supposed to just believe what they've been telling you after all the things they've been telling you all these years that you have been said are outright lies, Bobby.
Dude, I am still after 30 years on this planet, I am still a Washington Commanders fan. You think I use logic in my thought process when it comes to that team?
I'm a Titans fan, buddy, so I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, my glory days were back in '98. Okay, it's so
Speaking of the Titans, also, I think they were the only team to not average more than 28 points. They were the only team this season to not average 28 points, I think, or something like that, or to not. They were the only team to. I think they were the only team to not score above 28 points all season, or something like that. Okay, I want to say
that makes more sense. I was like, averaging 28 points is a lot of points.
They were the only team to not score above 28 points once the entire season, which is real sad. Makes sense.
I mean, we were never built to be a high powered, scoring team. But I mean, it was an abysmal scene. I mean, who are you supposed to pass it to? Recovering from injury, Bobby Trees. I mean, I don't know.
But all right, the NFL playoffs is set. We've got wild card weekend ahead of us. One of my favorite weekends of football is wild card weekend. We've got Miami, and these are some great matchups. I am real excited to watch these. Seahawks at 49ers. I think 49ers take that pretty handily. The Giants at Minnesota. I think that's the best matchup of the three wild card games.
Giants at Minnesota.
Yeah, for NFC at least. Yeah. And then we got and then we got Cowboys at Bucks on Monday night. Oh man. This morning, Jerry Jones on his weekly radio guest spot was asked if Mike McCarthy, if his job is at threat this weekend. And he said absolutely not. Jerry Jones is a goddamn liar.
Right.
There is
So
no way that the Dallas
McCarthy
Cowboys lose this
fired-
game.
McCarthy fired confirmed after a loss. Okay, so we've got
Yeah.
that locked down. We don't have to worry about
Yeah.
nothing
I
else.
mean, this is a team that if Mike McCarthy loses this game, he's out, and possibly others are out as well.
I will tell
Over
you-
to the AFC.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to, I thought you had already ran through them all. So continue.
Oh, in the AFC wildcard, we've got the Dolphins at the Bills, Baltimore at Cincinnati, and the Chargers at Jacksonville. All 6 of these matchups are spicy, and I am ready for this weekend of football.
Excuse me. Yeah, man. I'm jazzed up. I think that a game that could have been good, but I don't know that it will be because we're probably not getting Tua. Dolphins, Bills. Always good to see a divisional matchup. This is one of the times that it is. If Lamar Jackson is back, Baltimore Ravens can go in there and beat the Bengals. I mean, John Harbaugh is a proven winner, guy that can do it. But as far as AFC wise, and probably overall, all the games, most excited for the Chargers Jags, dude.
I'm saying here. That's what I was going to say.
I think that is going to be the exciting matchup. We got 2 young stud quarterbacks that could be the future of this league, and they get to match up. You got, as much as I hate to see the Jaguars there, and as much as, I don't want to say he doesn't deserve it, but Trevor Lawrence did not take them to the next level. That defense did. Now he has that skill set, but we're talking a pick 6 away from, the Titans dragging their sorry butts to Nissan Stadium this weekend and getting trounced by the Chargers. But yeah, I think the New York Giants and Minnesota Vikings is going to be good. It shouldn't be, though, right? I mean, it really shouldn't be a good matchup. The Minnesota Vikings should go out there and
wipe the floor with them.
Do good. They have a -3 differential, a -3-point differential. The other 3 seeds that are ahead of them, I think combined, and don't quote me on this because I saw the stat a few days ago, have like a +328 margin or something like that. It's ridiculous how different. I mean, they'll play close games. So while I don't, in my head it shouldn't be, betting the Vikings spread all year has always led to a little pain. They might get the win, but they're gonna miss that spread by a point or 2.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think it is going to be much more exciting than it should be. And then what perfect poetic justice for me to have to watch either Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers advance or the Dallas Cowboys finally getting a playoff victory. I think that Tampa wins this one, though. What do you think on that one?
I think Tampa wins this handily because
all right, I'm putting money on Dallas then. Unless
the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, I think what's going to happen is he is going to expect Dak to go out there and outgun Tom Brady. He is not going to lean on Zeke, which he should. If Dallas goes out there and they get
should lean on Tony Pollard, really is what he should.
Well, either way, if they need to lean on their running game. If the Cowboys lean on their running game, I think they can win this game. But that's not what's going to happen. We all know it. I think everyone in this country knows that what's going to happen is Dak Prescott is going to try and outgun Tom Brady, and Tom Brady is because you know what? What's going to happen is Tom Brady's defense is going to get him set up, and he is going to win that game.
I want to disagree with one point. I sort of agree with what you're saying. They're going to let Dak sling it all over the place. I don't think that Dak shouldn't be slinging it. I think he should be slinging it to CeeDee Lamb or slinging it right with a handoff into the hands of Tony Pollard or swing passing it to Tony Pollard or screen passing it to Zeke Elliott or, handing it off to Zeke on a quick short yard gain. So I agree with you. I think that don't be too fancy and they can win the game. I think Tampa's going to win it. I think that I think the Giants are going to win. I just have not seen the Vikings as an overall threat. I mean, they've had some glorious wins this year. It's fantastic that you came back 33 points against the Colts. I think Bob and I could throw together a quick squad to go up and, come back 33 points against the Colts. It's just been a disappointing season for them. I think if they can get a groove going, that they're probably one of the better teams offensively in the league. Yeah, I think the Giants eke one out. I think it's an ugly, ugly football game.
I almost agree with you. I mean, how I've said it a lot. Kirk Cousins is a trash quarterback. Kirk Cousins is not going to lead this team to the promised land. I think the Giants win that game.
Justin Jefferson might though. Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson might. But
I think Daniel Jones is just a better player.
Jair Alexander showed you the blueprint. I mean, what the blueprint is with all these great receivers is get under his skin and get under his skin early, and you'll get a trash performance from him. Do the Giants have a quarterback to do that? A cornerback to do that? I don't know. It's always interesting when you go to the division. San Francisco, no matter what quarterback trots out there, it's hard for me to bet against them, right? I mean, San Francisco looks good.
Yeah. Honestly, looking at this lineup, San Francisco is my pick to win the Super Bowl.
Okay. Not mine.
I think Christian McCaffrey has had a resurgence since getting traded. Yes. And maybe I'm a little biased because I own it because I spent so much in my Dynasty League. But my God, that man needed to get out of Carolina so bad. And I think that they are set up to, I mean, maybe, listen, Kansas City, I get, is probably going to be favored. And at the end of the day, I think Kansas City versus San Francisco is the matchup. And I think if I was betting with my brain, I would put money on Kansas City. But I think San Francisco could be that team
bets
this
with
year.
their brain. Nobody that bets with their brain wins any money, Bobby. It's all with your heart. That's how you win money. You bet only on your team. San Francisco could be that team. I don't think that they're Super Bowl winners, though. Personally, Chargers, Jags. I think the Jags, the Chargers, have not proven that they can win when it's time.
Wait, you're calling Jags for the Super Bowl winners?
No, I was just talking about that.
I was like, matchup. Holy shit. I was like, yeah, that's a little bit of a hot take. Like, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'll pick my winner in a second, but I think the Chargers are going down. I think the Jags move on.
Okay. You think so? Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Jags beat Chargers. I think Ravens beat Bengals. I think Bills beat Dolphins.
You think Ravens beat Bengals?
Yeah, is that what I? Yeah, is that what I?
Wow.
Yeah, is that what I said?
I think Bengals handle the Ravens again. No problem.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Well, okay. Let me start. I need to know who's starting quarterback. If Lamar Jackson's in a quarterback,
we'll say we're assuming Lamar is what you're assuming.
If Lamar is starting, I'm giving it's a very close game. It could be I think it goes into overtime, but I'm saying the Ravens win that. As a Maryland guy, maybe I think Niners take care of the Seahawks pretty handily. Tampa takes care of the Cowboys. I think, like we've said multiple times now, Vikings Giants is the game of the week. I think Vikings win it by like 3. I think Vikings by 3. I could see this being an overtime field goal winner.
I mean, as far as timing wise, I mean, Jaguars getting the 7:15 Saturday. I think, folks are as excited about that game as we are. I mean, NBC got it. So, yeah, we got a good weekend of football ahead of us. So you picked your winner. You think San Fran's winning it over Kansas City. Type that in somewhere.
I don't. Yeah. Well, I said I think they could be. At the end of the day, I think that Kansas City is the sure favorite, and they're my favorite to win it. But I still think San Francisco, of the other teams on here, I think San Francisco is the team that could beat them.
Well,
let's wait till next week to declare our Super Bowl.
After a whole group of teams have been eliminated.
I need to see if 49ers make it past the Seahawks first.
No, you gotta call your shot. You gotta call your shot.
I'm joking. I'm calling. I'm calling the 49ers to win the Super Bowl.
All right, type her in. 49er, you think Chiefs?
Yeah, I think 49ers over the Chiefs.
Mm.
I'm going to say...
I think the Bills use what we're about to talk about to get over the hurdle. I think the Bills beat the... I think the Bills beat the Eagles.
The Eagles?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the Bills beat the Eagles.
God, I do not want the Eagles going. I don't want any other. I do not want the Eagles. I mean, it sucks having 3 NFC East teams in this fucking playoffs and Washington not being
49ers
there.
over Chives.
Yes.
And I'm going to go 27 to 24.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, speaking of Buffalo,
that's what I'm using.
Dom Hamlin is back in Buffalo to recover. He was released from the hospital after his cardiac incident. What was it now? A week ago. So yeah, he's back. We can talk a little bit. Now that he's in recovery, we can talk a little bit about fantasy football.
Yeah.
The league scratched the game, called it a no contest. Multiple leagues that I'm in, not that it really mattered to my placement, but a lot of leagues decided to count the points of those players in other games. And I gotta be honest, you know me, I will always say I agree with majority votes, whatever commissioner says, and I don't really gripe. I don't agree with it. I think that the players should have, if they, whatever points they had when the game was called is the points they get for that week, for that contest.
The game is no contest. It is 0 points.
Well, then I think whatever the app says. I think whatever the app says it is what it is.
You want to let the people that we notoriously crap on for messing up, for not preparing for the first weekend, being a lot of people on the app, let them decide the fate of your league. I'm okay with just letting it as is, but I mean that's that's X amount of players that didn't even get to play on your team. So if your argument was replace them with other players that did play, I'm cool with that. But if this was a regular season game for the Bills and the Bengals, and it didn't really affect their ability to go and play for the championship. But if this was the Super Bowl, do you think that they just would have called it a no contest on the Super Bowl or a playoff game? And that would be my argument.
No, but again, speaking purely from a fantasy point of view, I think that, yes, it was a horrible situation. It was a freak accident, but I think that part of fantasy football is you take the highs with the lows, and sometimes freak accidents happen in fantasy football. And, games get canceled.
A game has never been canceled in the history of the NFL. So
okay.
So you can't plan for a contingency that literally says that the league has planned against. It says that this game is supposed to happen. The league has a week 19 clause built in. There's a whole extra week in between conference championships and the Super Bowl for that very purpose. When you were talking about, well, it messes up the football, stadiums and no, there's not a football team. There's not an NFL football stadium that plans anything from January to whenever in the hopes that they're playing in the NFL. So I can hear things happen, but in the redraft leagues, that's just the thing of that. I think we only did anything in our dynasty leagues, just the ones that we work year round on those. And just a freak accident that says a guy, has a heart attack on the field and the NFL is going to cancel the game. I don't know. I just, but either of them didn't sit right with me. I had one opportunity where I had nobody going, but I wanted the other two guys to go to give him an opportunity to beat me. And then I won one because of it, because coming back. And, it doesn't feel, it's not as good as winning the other, championships for sure. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But I don't know. I'm just more of that. I think that it's, fair is fair. You got X amount of players got to play. I should get X amount of players that get to play.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said, at the end of the day, I go with whatever leagues vote. I'm not going to bitch a lot about it.
I didn't think that you were. Yeah, I mean, that was something that Andrew and I just discussed and came up with together, and the commissioners of our other league came up with. Yeah, I mean, so maybe it was the wrong thing, maybe it was the right thing, but at least the people in the game agreed to it, right? It wasn't like we're going to do it this way. So, yeah, I mean, there was no hopefully you didn't have any unilateral decisions from just a commissioner just coming in and saying, I hated that I was in the game. It was the bigger problem to make the decision.
Yeah. Rogers loses to the Lions twice this season, ending with a worse record than Detroit. Is Aaron Rodgers done? And
no.
Okay. Well,
that's it. Shut it
so
down.
you're saying he doesn't retire this season? You think he comes back for the season?
I do not think he retires, but I mean, maybe he's already put it out there or something and I missed it, Bob, because I'm not looking at NFL news anymore.
Well,
fantasy football's over.
He said after the game that when they asked, how does he come, how does the team come back? He pretty much said that, how Green Bay comes back, he's not sure. I mean, he'll have to look at things and see if he comes back next season.
So he will 100% be back next season.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, of course, there was also a large contingency of Titans fans wanting Aaron Rodgers to come to Tennessee, and I can't think of anything worse for Tennessee than bringing in an aging, over the hill, dying Aaron Rodgers.
He'll sell a lot of jerseys, though. I'm for it. Do I think that we're going to become a championship contender? No, absolutely not. But we will have a little bit of drama in the fold. But seriously, I know he's not going. He's got a big contract. My man loves attention. He's going to say anything in any type of way to garner the most attention. That's right. Garner the most attention. That's just, it's interesting to see the lack of them continually bringing in people to help him win. And now that's a big question of at what point is it, the management and leadership not doing it? And it's folks maybe don't want to come play football with you anymore. You know, I mean, I don't want to be that guy because I don't know. I don't know what he's like in the locker room or, anything like that. So I don't want to say, but I mean, you have to imagine that the quarterback has a lot of sway, as much sway as the general manager or anything. Hey, if the GM can make the numbers,
especially someone like Aaron Rodgers.
That's what I'm saying. So do people not want to come play? I mean, I don't know. But yes, do I think he'll be back? Yeah, I think we'll have to hear about him retiring all off season, and an abundant amount. I think he'll miss OTAs. He won't be there. Anything voluntary, my man's not going to be there. In 2 days before he's supposed to have shown up, he's going to have shown up, and he will have told us all that he's done to have stayed in shape and annoy a vaccinated child neighbor that he doesn't like because they're vaccinated. He's going to tell us all that. I mean, he's going to do it all the way through, Joe Rogan podcasts and, Pat McAfee podcast and whoever will listen with some weird ponytail. But he'll be back next season. He'll be in number 12 and he'll be complaining about the receiver core, he doesn't have. So yes, I think he'll be there. What do you think, Bob?
I think he comes back, but I am hoping, and I also think that his time as a premier quarterback is well over. He is going to show himself for the fraud that he is. He, now that he has no weapons, he's going to just be, he's going to be outed as a bad quarterback, and I'm here to see it.
I don't know.
I think that he has been, I think he's been one of the biggest fraudulent Pro Bowl quarterbacks this league has ever seen.
I don't know about that. I don't think that. I mean, there are folks that want to throw him in conversation with the all-time greats, and I don't believe that. But I think he is a very good. I think he's a little bit above the tier of Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers, but not.
I would say Eli Manning's well above him.
No, Eli
Personally.
Manning, as far as what he accomplished, sure. But as a quarterback, no. Eli Manning, to me, was a serviceable game managing quarterback. I mean, stats me and prove me wrong, but I think a lot of his came from longevity and continuing to play. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just don't think he's an all-time great. I just don't think it's something that we're talking about. Maybe top 15, but I don't know if we're talking like top 5. I just can't see myself putting him in that conversation with Brady, Manning, Marino, Elway, Montana.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the baseline thought process, right? I mean, I'm sure there are people that'll argue other ways, but I just can't see myself even having entertaining a conversation.
I don't even think Rodgers is the best quarterback Green Bay's ever had. Either.
Oh, you're a Favre guy.
I mean, well, no, don't put words in my mouth. I'm not a Favre guy.
Oh, dude,
but
dude loves Favre. Oh, we know.
But I do love me some Wranglers.
We do know what your text message you're getting. You're getting as a media member.
Yeah, and favorite politician, Anthony Weiner.
Hey, any guy that will divert welfare money to get a volleyball court built is a good guy in my books.
But
seriously, is Brett Favre who you're talking about as far as just football play, the other quarterback?
Yeah, I was talking about Brett Starr. Yeah, Brett Favre. I think Brett Favre or Bart Starr. I think Brett
you
Favre
said
is
Bart Starr. I was like, oh snap! I was like, wow.
No, I think Brett Favre is the best quarterback to play for Green Bay. All right, let's move into our main topic today. We're running a little bit late, so we're going to run through this. The 2020's so far, who is leading this far into the decade? We're going to be talking about some stats since 2020. And some of them are, some of them are not very surprising. Just spoiler alert, Connor McDavid leads most of these stats.
The point stats, but not the goal stats, right? Yeah, the goal stats is
true.
Austin
Yes,
Matthews.
But yeah, Austin Matthews, then Connor McDavid. He's 10 behind Austin Matthews in goals.
What a weak ass punk.
Games played, Anze Kopitar at 181.
That was
one game ahead of Phil Kessel.
That was what surprised me was Kopitar up there. But we were joking about the goals, him being only 10 behind Matthews. He is a solid what is that? Solid 45 ahead in assists though.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive.
And he's 12 games ahead of Matthews as well.
And what is that? 49 ahead in points above. Guess who? Leon Draisaitl. Those two dudes. That is amazing in the 2020s. So essentially 3 years. Well, yeah, 3 years and then a couple days. 305 and 256 points. That is substantial amount of
and
points
0
there.
Stanley Cups between them, which is even more insane. If you were to look at these stats and see those two guys there, you would assume that there would at least be one Stanley Cup there.
But also only one playoff series won.
Yeah, even more. Like, what has happened? Like, how is that?
They advanced to the Western Conference Championship, I believe, in 2018. But not in the 2020. So that's super impressive.
Like when you across the board, the top 3 guys are guys from Canadian teams, and Canadians cannot win the Stanley Cup to save
They
their
love
life.
their star. They love star players though. Devin Tays, the plus minus champion thus far of the decade at a plus 89. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Another Canadian taking the top spot there. A lot of these higher guys are D-man, but Patrice Bergeron, I think, is very impressive at 72. And we look
at, and what's even the time on ice are obviously D-men, but guys who are coincidentally amazing at fantasy hockey. It's almost like the more you're on the ice, the more points you score. Tomas Chabot. They're
Well,
number one.
I would rather have a guy that has 3 games and is just okay than a guy that has 2 games and is great. I mean, it's just a numbers game, right? But Drew Doughty, Thomas Chabot, 26 minutes a game over these past 3 years, pretty impressive.
Yeah. There was one thing that I really wanted to look at. If I have to use my arrow keys to go over to look at more stats.
The hits.
I was looking at face-off wins, which is Patrice Bergeron, almost 250 above second place, 2,270, and second place is Anze Kopitar with 2,014.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those that probably is just exponential, but because even so, you still start getting some that drop to 1,900 and then 1,800. You only have 2 people in the 1,800s and then only 2 people in the 1,700s. But so 2,200 is ridiculous. But hits, you want to talk about having a substantial lead. Almost 100 hits higher than Brady Tkachuk is Radko Gudas with 722 hits. I just kind of want to do some quick math. I just want to do some quick math on that. We have 365 days in a year. We multiply that times 3. That's 1,095 days. My man's has almost got a hit a day, and they only play 82.
Well, divide that by 162. How many hits is he getting per games that he plays? Because he's only played 162 games.
Okay. My man is hitting people at a clip of 6.76 hits a game, dude.
Yeah. And, in our hits league, I've had Radko Gudas for 3 years in a row. The man is a hits league.
And honestly, I feel like he's slowed up. Yeah, but I feel like he's slowed up in the past 2 years. I feel like 700 or so.
I'm sure. Yeah, he's what, 32 years old?
650 is from 2020, dude. He was just obliterating dudes with nobody in the stand. Block shots. Ivan Provorov. Yeah, I mean that's the guy that is going to get you some blocks if he's available in your fantasy league. You grab him. Alec Martinez, Jacob Trouba, Connor Murphy, Braden McNabb. A lot of D-men here, as you kind of expect.
What is very surprising, I'm still looking at this hits thing. Brady Tkachuk has about 12 more games played than Radko Gudas, but is 9 years older than Radko Gudas. And then when you go down the list,
wait, Brady Tkachuk is older than Gudas?
He was born in 1990. Oh, younger. Yeah, he's younger. I'm sorry. He's 9 years younger. No, I'm sorry.
Is this a Greg Oden situation? I could have sworn he was like 40.
No, I'm sorry. Other than Brady Tkachuk is 9 years younger, but and has more games played than Radko Gudas. Then my surprise on this is at the list is Tanner Jeannot in the top number 9 on the hits list.
No way. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That at 135 games played is Tanner Jeannot.
So wait, that is 515 divided by how many?
He's played 135 games.
I think I did the math wrong earlier though. It should have been 135
515 divided by
it needs to be 135 divided by 515.
That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right, does it?
I think it's 5. Nah. It's stop.
You're dividing. Yeah, you're right. I just missed it. I just was looking at it weird. 515 divided by 135. That's a lot of games for Jeannot.
That's more than I thought. A lot more than I thought. What I guess? Well, I guess if he's playing full seasons, 82 games a season.
Week. I mean, he's weak. If we're being real, it's 3.81 hits per game. It's a week.
I just thought he was so much younger than he is. I didn't realize he was born in 97. So when I saw his name on this list, I was like, what? I thought he was in his second or third year, which maybe he is. Maybe.
Well, he's probably one of those guys that, has been in the system.
AHL.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But,
points per, let's see, per 60, goals per 60. Austin Matthews has 2.1 goals per 60 minutes, which is pretty impressive. Ovechkin 1.89.
Yeah.
Assists per 60.
Penalty minutes.
Kucherov.
Patrick Maroon at 248, followed by Brady Tkachuk at 235. Surprisingly, Tom Wilson's only at 194, but maybe that's because of his suspensions.
Yeah,
So
he just hasn't had as many opportunities.
And then again, Tanner Jeannot in the top 15 at 180.
Yeah, I think that it's pretty clear. I mean, it's a lot of what we expected, right? Of what we've talked about. I'll tell you what is one of the most surprising to you. Let's do one very surprising stat, and before we move on.
I would say it's no,
and it doesn't have to be a surprise.
That.
Here, I'll hit you with mine, and so maybe you'll think of something. Because I'm not saying like, oh, this guy's leading this. Just something. My surprising thing is, in this decade so far, Kirill Kaprizov has 207 points. That's pretty impressive. You know,
I was gonna go with Kaprizov as well.
I think that
I thought when I saw his name on this list, I was surprised.
97 game. That's goals. What is it? I mean, that's 175 games played is pretty surprising to me, if we're being honest. That just feels like we haven't got to watch him play that much hockey. But I mean, he's played more hockey than Nathan McKinnon has at 140 games played. So, but yeah, I think Kaprizov is just not that it's crazy, it's outlandish. Just it's not something that I necessarily expected.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I was going to say Kaprizov as well.
Yeah, Marner being right there at 213 is also very impressive. I mean, we have two teammates as the top 4 of points in this decade, with Mitchell Marner and Austin Matthews and Draisaitl and McDavid. That's pretty impressive. No cups.
All right, let's move into our games of the week.
Games of the week. Bobby and Brandon do the work, so you don't have to. The best from around the NHL and what to watch.
All right, we are already over an hour in, so we're going to fly through these.
Fly through all 5 of yours, and I'll fly through all 5 of mine.
Yeah. On Thursday, the 12th, I've got Colorado at Chicago at 7:30. I'm taking Colorado puck line. On the 13th, I have got Winnipeg at Pittsburgh. I am taking Pittsburgh money line. On Saturday, Calgary at Dallas. I think Calgary takes this, and I'll take Dallas puck line. And then on Sunday, Montreal going over the border into New York to face the Rangers at 4 p.m. I'm going to take the Rangers puck line. And then Tampa at Seattle. Seattle's on a hot streak, but I think Tampa kind of starts to, temper their hot streak a little bit. I'm going to take Tampa money line.
Love them. Love the picks. I'm going to fly through mine, and then I'll give the quick record update because I feel like last week needs to be talked about, right, Bob?
Yes.
Game 1, I have the Jets Sabres on the 12th, Thursday. Sabres money line. I think it's a tough game to go with. I just went with the home team there. Devils Ducks 9 p.m. the 13th, Friday. I'm going to go Devils puck line. Unsurprisingly, a team that has been dominant. Senators Avs the 6th at 6 p.m. on the 14th, which would be Saturday. Almost just went Avs money line, but I think I'm going to go Avs puck line. The Canucks playing the Canes at 4 p.m. on Sunday the 15th. Canes puck line. And then Caps Isles 6:30 on the 16th, Monday. I'm going to go with Caps, just money line. I think I might regret that. I was thinking about going Isles puck line, hoping to get the +1.5, but I'm going to go with the Caps straight up. Leaving us with the record for this week. 30. You are sitting at 32-21, a slight lead. Me, I'm sitting at 30-22-1. So a 5-0 week for me, a 4-1 week for you. Probably the best week combined we've ever had, I would have to imagine.
For sure.
$51 in at this point, and Bob, you were sitting at $48.92. It's right there on that cusp. I think this puck line betting has really boosted us. And I am sitting at $52.86, so $1.86 above. That's pretty impressive betting, sitting right at about even between the two of us after roughly 55 some odd bets. It doesn't sound that impressive to the folks at home, but it's impressive. So,
but all right, let's move into our joke of the week.
The weird. Corey Perry. See, I don't like this. Wild. I think the first read was a good one. Now I'm overthinking it. Outlandish.
Each sixth chick sat on a stick. Little tongue twister.
And downright dumb.
You're kidding me.
It's time for the joke of the week.
All right, this week we get to see someone who's had their job for about 30 years lose it in one sentence. A radio play-by-play announcer for the number 25 North Carolina State was suspended indefinitely during their Duke's Mayo Bowl showing against Maryland when he was doing a score update from a different game down in El Paso. When he said, down among all the illegal aliens in El Paso, it's UCLA 14 and Pittsburgh sis. Oof. This was... This had big Castellano, right? Homer's the left vibes.
I was showing, honestly, when you sent that to me, it was on New Year's. You sent it to me, right? I was, I was getting there. I was getting a little drunk. And so I just remember walking around and just not telling people, hey, listen, just playing the call to they're like, what? And then that got me to talking about Castellanos drives deep to the left for a 4-0 lead for the Reds. And so I got to showing people that video. What could this guy have possibly thought that he was going to accomplish? There was no question that he was on camera. My man's for the Reds. It's wrong. He shouldn't have said it. Nobody's saying that. But we can agree we can agree that he thought he was off camera, though. He thought he was good. Yeah.
This guy knew he was talking to a mic.
That's what I'm saying. Is he's just like, dude, nobody's watching the Duke's Mayo Bowl, thank goodness. And I'm just gonna let people know, like, what did he deign to accomplish is what that is more of what I'm like, like people say things and it's like, oh, I'm super sorry. I never should have said it. Well, some people say things like, oh, it was, I thought it was going to be a joke and I thought it was going to be funny, or I thought I was around people that also would think it was. I am just very confused. It sounded like he was in a single person booth. So it didn't seem like there was like other people he was telling the joke to like get a rise out of or something.
I don't know, but it was, I remember it was honestly, it was almost the craziest thing I've seen all year until I sent you that Packers play where the corner just went over and grabbed the ball out of the center's hands. And even that.
At least that could be explained a little bit, right? Like maybe he heard a phantom whistle in the crowd.
Well, even if he heard a phantom whistle, why is the corner going up and just slapping the ball out of the center's hands when it's in like that?
But we can agree that he didn't go up to the center and call him an illegal alien. And for no reason.
I listened to this call like 4 times and be like, did I hear that right? Am I hearing things?
I had to like repeat it for people. They were like, what did he say? I was like, no, he said exactly what you heard he said. This isn't an instance in which, you just misheard and you need to rehear. He said exactly what you thought that he said. And down amongst the illegal immigrants in El Paso, I was like,
I like to think that he got the call and they're like, Gary, you know what this call is about, right? He's like, no, what could it possibly be about? He's like, is it because I got the score wrong? It's like, they're like, no, it's the illegal immigrant thing. It's like, what?
the immigrant thing? Come on, buddy. That was just a joke. He was like, I was telling a joke. To who, Gary?
Yeah.
To who were you telling the joke?
It's the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Gary.
It sounds
You,
like
he pretty much got fired on his day off, is what happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
How you get fired? You got 30 years of this, all sorts of stuff. There used to be, smoking and drug use in the locker room, and Gary gets fired at the Duke's Mayo Bowl, a game in which they didn't even deem it important enough to have a second guy in the booth with you, Gary.
Yeah. And one of those games where we were thinking about before this, we were going to each make up like 10 random bowl names. And if you had said Duke's Mayo Bowl, I kind of probably would have been like, ooh, that sounds made up.
That is a good idea. Yeah.
Like, it's not like Heinz. Like, if it was like, the Heinz Mayo Bowl, I'd be like, all right. Or, but
Gary,
the Duke's Mayo Bowl is insane.
Gary, what was you doing making references to illegal immigrants? What was you trying to get yourself a political career?
He's like, well, I already did. Fox News called right before you called.
What you trying to do? What you stealing boxes for? You trying to steal a clubhouse?
Let's move into what's snapping their stick.
Bobby and Brandon are about to find out exactly what snaps their sticks.
Oh, this is a big oof. So not sports related, but I do a lot of stuff on the computer. I edit, I stream, I do a lot of my day job on the computer.
Don't do it enough.
This bad boy decided to shit the bed. For those of you listening and watching, this is a very high quality 10 terabyte hard drive with a lot of stuff on it.
Dude got it at the mall. He got it at this kiosk at the mall, bro. It was super legit. I mean, the guy took him out back with the trench coat on, and I mean, it seemed a little less legit at the time.
But it hit the bed, and just in the middle of using it, I was playing a game on it, and it stopped, and I was like, all right, my computer didn't crash, but everything else, and it's not letting me open anything. And then come to find out, I take it out, I'm like, oh fuck! So I restarted a bunch, it's just not working. And honestly, there's nothing worse than just a bullshit tech problem that you just like. You can't. There is no answer to fix. The only answer is I told my wife, and she was like, "Okay, so what do we do?" I was like, "Well, I have to buy a hard drive."
I just told you about it. I just told you about the problems. Damn it!
Like the only answer is I have to spend $400 to get a new fucking hard drive.
Well, and our wives are so nice because they want to help us. I mean, it's a lot like us solving problems. We're not like other guys that like, oh, we want to fix it. We generally just don't listen. But they do want to fix our problem, and when you tell them about it and they want to fix it, it's like, look, man, turns out that if you were able to fix this wouldn't even be a problem. We would have so much more money. Extra hard drives isn't even a thing anymore. Okay. If you could fix it, then it would have been no worries before it broke. Okay. No offense. That's not telling you to go out and become a world superstar computer lady or nothing, but we're just saying if we could fix broken hard drives, then we got some. I don't know if that's a viable skill or anything, but it just sounds like
I honestly don't know.
It sounds like it would be something that would be in demand, right? Like, hey, this hard drive's effed, but not for my boy Bob or whatever, or Meg. Like my girl Meg over there, she whips up hard drives or whatever. All right, so mine, we already talked about it. But just an abysmal end to college football. You got your bowl games. You got your, folks calling illegal immigrants out during the bowl games, which is not something I had on my bingos, not something I had on my bingo square for the year. But you get 2 playoff games and you get this one game and it's 65-7. I was so excited to sit down and watch this game, and it's on a Monday. Don't know why we can't do it on a Saturday still. I think we've just stopped fighting that fight, haven't we, Bob? I mean, why can't it be on a Saturday? Nobody has any idea. But you sit down, you watch it by yourself or whatever, and it's just, it's that. It wasn't even watchable football, really. And there was a point where it was 10-7. And you're like, okay, all right. We're going to have a football game. I mean, Georgia's very clearly the better team. But we're going to have at least a game here. And it was just, that was about it. That was all we got to see.
Yeah.
So, great season, an abysmal end to that season for me personally. So,
yeah. And one thing I want to, before we end, I do want to read something. It's at the bottom of this joke of the year.
I didn't even know you could read, dude.
It is a little excerpt from the author. I guess they asked all of the Guardians, contributors to write like what they see the world as like in 2033. And her vision of 2033 is Elon Musk is no longer the richest person in the world, having hemorrhaged away his fortune trying to make Twitter profitable, which alas hasn't worked out too well. Only 420 people are left on the platform. Everyone else is banned for not laughing at Musk's increasingly desperate jokes.
Nice.
In other news, Pete Davidson is now dating Martha Stewart, and Donald Trump is still threatening to run for president. And British tabloids are still churning out 100 articles a day about whether Meghan Markle eating lunch is an outrageous snub to the royal family. And honestly, all of that seems highly likely.
All of that seems, you said 10 years from now. I mean, all of that stuff is going to happen every year
like
for the next 10 years. Like, honestly, this person, while seeming like acting smart, they're very clearly just regurgitating everything that has clearly happened and will continue to happen. I'm not impressed by this lady. So
it almost feels like an AI that you asked an AI what's life going to be like in,
I didn't even hear anything about Kanye's comeback album or anything about how,
I'm assuming that because in 2033, he goes by President of the United States, Kanye, or President Yeez. Whatever the fuck he goes by.
He's just going to straight up go Yeezus, isn't he? He's just going to be going by Yeezus. Dear God.
But all right, guys, for Brandon, I'm Bobby. This has been Pucks Out Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you all again next week.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Pucks Out Podcast. To see what other ridiculousness the guys are up to, check them out on Twitter and Instagram @PucksOutPod.